Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. The heel of her shoe snapped 2 minutes before everything fell apart. It made this sharp, unexpected crack on the marble floor right outside the ballroom, and she stumbled forward, cursing under her breath as I instinctively reached to steady her. She pulled away, not out of pain, not surprise. It was the way someone pulls away from a stranger. I told her to wait, that I'd find glue, tape, something. But she shook her head, tossed the shoe in the trash bin, and said, "Don't fuss. I'll dance barefoot." And she did. She danced like nothing mattered, like she wasn't bleeding slightly from the edge of her heel, like I wasn't there. Her laugh echoed louder than the music. I saw heads turn, people watching her, drawn in by her wild, carefree energy. That used to be mine. That wildness, that spark. She used to dance like that for me, but not tonight. Tonight she danced with him. He wore a velvet jacket like he was trying too hard. His cufflinks flashed gold under the chandeliers, and he didn't stop smiling. Not once. He held her by the waist, whispered something in her ear, and she threw her head back laughing. No limp, no pain, no regret. Meanwhile, I sat there gripping the tablecloth, trying to keep my face calm while my insides turned to glass. They played 4 songs. Maybe 5. I counted each one like I was serving time. At one point, she looked straight at me, through me, like I was part of the wallpaper. And that was it. That was the moment I stood up, quiet, unnoticed. I left my jacket on the chair and slipped out the side door like a ghost. I didn't look back. I didn't need to, because the second I stepped outside, I heard her shout my name. I didn't go far that night, just down the steps, around the corner, and into the alley behind the ballroom. I stood there like some pitiful shadow, my tie half loosened, the cold air cutting through my shirt like I deserved it. I should have walked home, or called a cab, or at least pretended to have some self-respect. But I didn't. I just waited. And maybe, God, maybe, I hoped she'd come running after me. She didn't. What I got instead was the sudden slam of the side door and the unmistakable sound of high heels. 2 of them this time, not 1. Her shoe wasn't broken anymore. I peeked around the corner just enough to see them, her and velvet jacket guy, lit by the dim amber glow of the back entrance light. He was holding her shoe. She was laughing again. That same laugh that used to be mine. Then she leaned on him, whispered something, and he kissed her. It wasn't long or even passionate. It was casual, like it wasn't the first time, like it was routine. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't run toward them or throw a punch or demand answers. No, I stood there like an idiot and watched. My feet might as well have been nailed to the concrete. They went back inside a few minutes later. I could have left then, and I probably should have. But part of me needed to see how deep the hole went. So I walked back in through the front entrance, tried to blend into the crowd. No one noticed I'd been gone, except her. Her eyes met mine as soon as I stepped inside. Her smile froze for half a second. And in that half second, I saw something flicker, guilt, maybe, or fear, or just surprise that I hadn't disappeared like she clearly hoped I would. She came up to me about 10 minutes later, when he had gone to get drinks or flirt with someone else, I don't know. She smoothed her dress like she hadn't just been dancing with another man all night and said, "Why did you leave?" I should have said, "Why did you forget I existed?" But instead, like the weak, overthinking man I've always been, I just shook my head and muttered, "I needed some air." She nodded too fast, like she was relieved that I wasn't angry, that I wouldn't make a scene, that I wouldn't dare confront her. Then she leaned in and whispered, "Please don't ruin this night." Ruin it? She was the one who ruined it. And yet I stood there, nodding like a fool, agreeing to hold the broken pieces of our marriage in silence so she could pretend everything was fine. I stayed until the final song played. I watched her sway with strangers, laugh at jokes that didn't include me, and fake a love that had clearly expired months ago. And then, without saying goodbye, I left for the second time. This time, I didn't wait behind the building. I went home, alone, and the house had never felt so unfamiliar. The next morning, I found confetti in the sink. Not the bright birthday kind. This was metallic, shaped like tiny champagne flutes, probably stuck to my jacket when I left the ballroom. I stared at them while the coffee machine gurgled behind me, blinking like maybe if I squinted hard enough, I could rewind time and erase last night altogether. But memory doesn't work that way. It clings to you like glitter. Try scrubbing it off and it just moves to a different part of your skin. Lorna came home around 9 a.m. Her heels clicked against the hardwood like it was any other Saturday. She didn't say good morning. She didn't even look surprised I was sitting at the table, still in the same clothes. She just slipped off her heels and asked, "Do we still have bread?" Bread. My wife kissed another man under soft chandelier light, whispered secrets to him that I wasn't allowed to hear, and all she could ask me was whether we had bread. I pointed at the pantry without speaking. She hummed like she was choosing a playlist and pulled out the sourdough. I watched her toast it, butter it, sit down like nothing had shattered. Then she said it, the sentence that made something in me fracture. "You looked tired last night. You should have stayed home." No apology, no explanation, just that. I didn't answer. What could I say? That I saw her melt into another man's arms like I was the ghost of a mistake? That I counted the minutes while she danced with someone who knew how to make her laugh like I used to? That I stood outside in the freezing alley like some forgotten dog hoping his owner would remember to come back? Instead, I sipped my coffee, burned my tongue and said, "I guess I was tired." She nodded, pleased with the version of events she'd just rewritten for both of us. I think that was her plan all along, to replace the truth with something easier, something quieter. She had always been good at reworking reality until even I doubted myself. But something had shifted in me overnight. I wasn't the same Irving who folded quietly into her world. I was starting to see the cracks in the paint, the rot behind the perfect framing. And even though I hadn't decided what to do next, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to pretend anymore. Later that day, while she was in the shower, I picked up her phone from the kitchen counter. I didn't want to. I hate snooping. I hate what it says about a relationship when you have to dig for truth instead of just hearing it. But I unlocked it. And what I found, that deserves its own part. Because nothing, not even the kiss, prepared me for what I read next. I told myself I wouldn't look through her phone. I told myself that no matter what I suspected, I needed to hold on to some dignity. But when someone stands in front of you, eating buttered toast like they didn't just break something sacred, your hands start moving before your conscience can catch up. Her phone wasn't locked. It never had been. She used to say things like, "Couples who hide passwords have something to hide." Ironic now, considering what I was about to uncover. I didn't go digging through deep folders. I opened her messages. The first conversation was pinned to the top. The name? Kenton. Velvet jacket Kenton. Of course. At first, it looked harmless. Just emojis, a few memes, sarcastic banter, office gossip. Then I scrolled up, and suddenly, everything shifted. 2 weeks ago, Kenton. Still thinking about last Friday. You in that dress? Illegal. Lorna. Your trouble smiling face with horns, I told you that. 3 days ago. Kenton. He's not coming to the gala, right? Lorna. He thinks he is. Don't worry, I'll handle it. Kenton. Rather handle you smirking face. Lorna. Wait until you see what I'm not wearing underneath face blowing a kiss. I dropped the phone like it burned me. It's a strange thing, heartbreak. It doesn't feel like what they describe in songs. It's not sharp. It's heavy, like a thick coat you can't take off. I sat there on the edge of the bed, the walls closing in, trying to remember how we even got here. When did I stop being enough for her? When did my wife become a stranger who planned behind my back and flirted behind my spine? I looked around the room we once built together. Our photos, our books, her perfume still sitting on my side of the dresser. Everything suddenly felt borrowed. Fake. Even the scent in the air felt like it belonged to someone else. She walked in 10 minutes later, hair wet, wrapped in a towel, humming some indie pop song she liked. When she saw her phone on the bed, screen still lit up, her whole body stilled. She didn't ask if I read them. She just stared at me. I stared back. No shouting. No tears. Just silence that said everything. I stood up. She didn't stop me. I walked into the living room, grabbed my coat, and paused at the door. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. Maybe a lie, maybe an excuse, but I didn't wait to find out. I walked out, and I didn't care that it was raining, because that was the first moment I felt awake in months. I didn't go far that night, but it felt like I'd crossed a continent. I ended up in my car, soaked, heart hollowed out like someone had scooped it clean with a spoon. The windshield blurred from the storm, but I wasn't crying. Not yet. Just sitting in the driver's seat like a man frozen in the moment he stopped pretending. I must have sat there for hours. I didn't turn the engine on, didn't check my phone. Just listened to the rain pound the roof like it had something to say. And in that silence, I realized something horrible. I didn't even want to fix us anymore. There was a time I would have begged. I would have told her I could change, asked her what I did wrong, how we drifted, if we could talk to someone, take a break, try again. But in that car, I wasn't picturing therapy. I wasn't picturing redemption. I was picturing freedom. That terrified me, because I'm not a man who leaves. I'm the man who stays, who forgives too fast, forgets too easily, clings to the comfort of routines even when they cut me. But now I was picturing what my life would look like without her in it, without her perfume on my pillow, without her half-finished tea mugs scattered across the apartment, without her voice pretending everything was fine when I knew it wasn't. I drove at 2 a.m. I didn't even know where I was going. The roads were empty, the streetlights blinking like slow heartbeats. I ended up at a diner on the edge of town, the kind that never closes, where the waitress doesn't ask questions when you look like you've been dragged through hell. I ordered pancakes. I hate pancakes, but I needed something soft, something warm, something that wouldn't fight back. An older couple sat across the room, holding hands, sharing headphones. They weren't speaking, just sitting in their own little world. I watched them like I was looking at a memory that didn't belong to me, and I wondered, did they survive something like this? Or did they never break to begin with? My phone buzzed twice in my pocket. I didn't check it. I didn't need to. I already knew it was her. Probably something like, "Can we talk?" Or "Please come back." Maybe even "It's not what it looked like." But I couldn't unsee it. Her fingers in his hand. Her words in his inbox. Her lips on his. By the time I left the diner, the sky had started to brighten. Not blue yet, just that quiet gray that sneaks in before the sun. The kind of morning that feels more like an ending than a beginning. I got in my car and finally checked the messages. She had sent one photo. It was of the two of us. Old. From our second anniversary. We were at the lake, her hair messy, my arms around her. She wrote, "We were happy once. Don't forget that." I stared at it until my screen dimmed out, and then I deleted it. By the time I got home, the apartment smelled like nothing. Not coffee, not her perfume, just emptiness. Her shoes weren't by the door, her coat wasn't hanging on the hook, and the lights were all off except for the one in the hallway. Flickering, annoyingly so, like a blinking reminder that I hadn't fixed it for weeks. I stepped over the threshold and realized I didn't feel like a husband anymore. I felt like a guest in a place that once had meaning. She showed up an hour later. I was sitting on the edge of the bed when the key turned. She walked in like a storm pretending to be a breeze, soft steps, light voice, but her eyes were wide with tension. She was clutching her purse like it held the answers I hadn't asked for yet. And before I could speak, she said it. "I didn't sleep with him. Not hello. Not I'm sorry. Not can we talk? Just that." Her voice wasn't angry. It was careful, practiced, like she'd been rehearsing it all night. I didn't respond. I just watched her, waiting for the truth behind her words to show up in her expression. But she kept talking. "He was going through something. I was helping. He got too friendly, I see that now. But it wasn't what you think. We were just dancing. Just dancing." I laughed. I actually laughed. A short, bitter thing that made her flinch. "You said you'd handle it. That's what you texted him." "Don't worry. I'll handle it." What was that? Handling me? Her face went pale. She hadn't realized I saw the texts. I was trying to avoid a fight, she said quickly. You've been distant for months. I didn't want more conflict. So instead of conflict, I said, standing up, you gave me betrayal. No, she snapped, her voice finally cracking. You gave up on me first. You stopped listening. You stopped asking how I felt. Do you even know how lonely I've been? That hit like a slap. Not because she said it, but because part of me believed it. And that scared me more than anything. She was rewriting our failure into something mutual, something blurry and vague where no one was the villain. But someone was. She just didn't want to admit it. I begged you to talk, I said. You shut down. You rolled over every night with your back to me. You stopped saying good morning. You stopped looking at me like I was still your person. She blinked fast, maybe to cry, maybe just to buy time. I made mistakes, she whispered. But I didn't stop loving you. Then why did you act like I wasn't there? I asked. At the gala, on the dance floor, in this marriage. And that's when she broke. I didn't know how to reach you, she said. And he listened. It was honest. I felt it. But it didn't make anything better. Because what she saw as reaching out, I saw as running away. There was silence after that. The kind that fills an entire room and seeps under your skin. I told her I needed space. Time. I didn't want to say the word separation. But it hung in the air between us like a ghost. She nodded, slowly, like she'd already accepted it. And then she said something I didn't expect. If you go, you won't come back. Will you? I looked her in the eyes, and for once, I didn't overthink it. I just answered, I don't know. The next morning, I didn't pack a suitcase. I didn't storm out or slam a door. I didn't even write a dramatic note. I just grabbed a duffel bag and tossed in the basics. Some clothes, my toothbrush, my laptop. I left the books on my nightstand, the shaving cream we shared, the framed photo from our honeymoon. I didn't take anything that would make the place feel emptier. I wanted her to feel the weight of what was missing without the obvious clues. Let her wonder what I chose to leave behind. She didn't ask where I was going. She just stood by the kitchen counter with her arms folded, watching me like someone trying to memorize a stranger's face. The coffee machine gurgled between us. The air was too still. I could tell she had 100 things she wanted to say, but not one of them was, don't go. That was the real betrayal. Not the kiss. Not the dancing. Not even the texts. It was the indifference. I stayed at a cheap motel that first night. The kind of place with buzzing neon signs and vending machines that still take quarters. It smelled like old smoke and cleaning fluid. The Wi-Fi barely worked. But it was quiet. It was mine. I turned my phone face down and let it ring. 5 times. 6. Her name each time, lighting up the screen like a dare I refused to take. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to hear her voice try to rearrange everything again. Soften it, bend it, smooth the corners until I questioned my own reality. Instead, I opened my laptop and started typing. Not a message to her. Not a confession. Just thoughts. Fragments. Sentences I hadn't said out loud because I was too afraid they'd make things real. I hate that I still care what she thinks of me. I hate that part of me misses her laugh. I hate that she's the one who got bored first. I wrote until my fingers ached. Then I stared at the last sentence for a long time. I wasn't enough. Not for her. Maybe not for anyone. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about her. It was about all the things I let slide in my life. All the moments I made myself smaller just to keep someone else comfortable. I had been invisible for longer than just that night at the gala. I'd been fading quietly for years. I fell asleep with the TV on. Some old movie was playing. One of those black and white ones where couples argued with grace and reconciled in the rain. I dreamed I was back in that ballroom, but this time, I wasn't watching her dance. I was the one on the floor, spinning alone, everyone watching and whispering. When I woke up, there was a voicemail waiting. I nearly deleted it without listening, but I pressed play. Her voice was low, fragile, and for once honest. I thought if I kept pretending everything was fine, you wouldn't notice how much I broke us. But you did. You always did. I just didn't want to admit you deserved better than the version of me I became. Click. No tears. No promises. Just that. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired. I didn't go back. Not to beg, not to fight, not even to get closure. I returned once, 2 weeks later, to grab the last of my things. She wasn't home. Maybe that was intentional. Maybe not. The apartment looked the same, but something was different. It wasn't just the absence of her coat or the silence echoing in the hallway. It was the weight that had lifted from my chest. The invisible heaviness I'd worn like a second skin for years. It was gone. She had left a letter on the counter. Not a text. Not a voice note. A real, handwritten letter. It started with Irving. I never meant for it to end like this. And maybe once, those words would have cracked something in me. But I didn't need to read the rest. I folded it and slid it into the same drawer where I kept old birthday cards and broken charger cables. That's where it belonged, part of the past I was finally letting go of. The motel became a temporary stop. After a month, I found a small apartment closer to school. It's not much. Second floor, creaky stairs, the smell of the bakery downstairs always lingering in the halls. But it's quiet, and every item in it is mine. My couch, my coffee mugs, my peace. I started walking every morning before work. Just 30 minutes. Headphones in, podcasts on, no one to perform for. It's amazing how different the world looks when you're not shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's story. My students noticed too. One of them actually said, "Mr. Holt, you look taller lately." I laughed. Not because it was true, but because it finally felt true. I don't know what Lorna's doing now. I don't ask. I don't stalk her socials. I don't need to. Because the truth is, she didn't break me. She reminded me that I had already been breaking for years. I just needed the final crack to see it. And as strange as it sounds, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the night she danced with him like I wasn't there. Because it forced me to finally see myself. And this version of me, the one who stopped begging to be noticed, he's the one who stayed. Thanks for watching Reddit Confessions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us, what's the one historical event you wish you could have witnessed in person?